In today's video I want to install some rock lights, these ones right here. And I know rock lights are usually put on show cars or off-road rock crawlers, and my Sprinter van, the Revel, isn't any one of those. But still, there's a very good use case even on a camper van to put these lights on. I will explain that a little bit later. But first of all, let me show you exactly what I'm installing. The kit comes with these 4 POC lights, and they have 3 LEDs in each one of them, and they are like RGB LEDs, which means they can be set to various different colors like red, blue and green, but then also to all colors really in between. And all of this is done with an app on my cell phone. I can also change them to different styles, like this one here, a blue flashing one, and I can change the speed of the flash, purple flashing, and I can also change them to really flash to music. And the whole system is really plug and play. The main controller is this box here. This needs to be connected to 12-volt power. And then this thing here has connectors for all the 4 different individual POC lights. So this is a waterproof connector, really nicely made. And that makes this whole thing plug and play. Well, or at least it was plug and play until now. See, the problem with these pre-made sets is that the cable is either too short or too long. And if it's too short, well, then you can buy an extension cable, and then it is definitely too long. So instead of using the pre-made cables, I will be running my own cables, and that's why I cut off the connector. Also, I will be installing the 4 lights at the corners of the van, and instead of running a cable from each of the lights to the controller box, like so, I can connect the 2 rear lights and then run a single cable to the controller box, and the same for the front lights. I can connect them in the front and run a single cable to the controller box. That saves a little bit of cable. Another reason for cutting the connector off is that it would require a 1/2-inch mounting hole, while the cable only needs maybe 3/16 of an inch. In the front, I want to install the lights onto this plastic piece here, like so. I made a little template out of cardboard, so it will be a perfect fit. And there's nothing above this plastic panel here, so there's plenty of room for the cables on the driver's side. However, on the passenger side, there's the DEF tank right above this panel here. And I just don't want to drill from below and then accidentally put a hole into the DEF tank. So instead, I'm going to remove this entire plastic piece, install the light, and then put it back. And this plastic piece is part of the wheel well liner, or whatever it is called, so I have to remove this entire thing. It's relatively easy to remove. There's just a bunch of these plastic nuts that hold the liner in place, and then a few clips here in the front, and a few clips, well, on the underside here, and then this whole thing can be taken out. I also took out the one in the back, because that allows me easy access to where I need to route the cables, or the cable from the light towards the control module in the back. This is the inside now of this plastic panel, and the light will go on the underside of this. So I need 3 holes, 2 to mount it and 1 for the cable. And this little thing here is kind of in the way, but I don't really think it serves any purpose. This might just be a leftover from the molding process of this entire panel. So I'm going to cut this off and then drill the holes and put the light in. I ended up removing the liner on the driver's side as well, and then I installed the light while this was sitting on my workbench. Overall, I think this was way easier than trying to fiddle the light in with the liner installed. Also, you might have noticed that I did not install any connectors. So once this is all in, it will be truly hardwired in. If you ever want to remove the liner again, then really the cable needs to be cut. But I'm not going to remove the liner anytime soon, or at least I'm not planning to. And if I ever bring my car in for service or for repair and the workshop needs to remove the liner, I can tell them to cut the cable at this red mark here. Hope you can see this. And this will give me enough slack in the cable to later splice it back in. Again, I think this is way easier than trying to install a plug or a connector, like a 4-wire connector. So now for the fun part. This is the cable from the driver's side, which I need to route over to the passenger side, connect it with the light from the passenger side, and then connect it to the third cable, which is kind of the main feed. This is the one that will be going to the controller in the back. And this one I think I'm going to put into some split cable, loom, conduit, whatever this one is called, and I can route it on the inside of the bumper. So that's an easy way to connect with the other one on the other side. These are the two cables from the two lights, and this is where I'm going to splice them together and into the main cable feed. And I'm not going to solder these connections. Instead, I'm using these butt connectors. These are just crimp connectors. And they make a really nice connection. So the color coding of the feeder cable is a little bit different. I have black, white and red, which is what I have in the other cables as well, but I do not have blue. So blue will go to yellow and the other three cables will be a match. So and I really like these butt connectors because I'm not running the risk of kind of pre-shrinking my heat shrink with the heat of the soldering iron. So I can slide it over now and then shrink it down, and I can do that after I have all of them connected. This is now a very strong and watertight permanent connection. The heat shrink is lined on the inside with an heat activated glue, so it is not only protecting it with the heat shrink itself, it also kind of glues everything together and makes it watertight. I can now route my new cable, this one right here, alongside all the other cables that Winnebago installed. These are from the secondary alternator all the way to the back, and I can just follow that route pretty much with my new cable. I got the cable routed all the way to here, and now I can bring it over and it's a little tight, to somewhere around here where the water drain is. So I'm hoping I can drill a hole in here and then come out somewhere under the pantry area. And to get access to that area, I want to remove the fridge. And to remove the fridge, I have to take out 4 screws, and they are behind these caps here. And with the fridge out of the way, well, I have easy access to, well, where I can install the controller and route the cables into the van. The drain is somewhere there in the back. You can probably see the red pipe there. So if I drill into this wall here, then I can route the cable from the outside into the inside.
And here I forgot to turn the microphone on. I'm explaining that the hole will be about 11 inches forward of the drain pipe.
Well, that wasn't too difficult. This is just very thin sheet metal and certainly nothing structural. A little bit of primer. When I made the new switch panel a couple of years ago, I already put in a switch for the Rocklights. So this is the one I need to connect now. This is the connector for the existing running board light switch. And basically the new one needs to go in parallel with the existing one. So black is ground, green is 12 volts into the switch, and then the red and the blue ones, they have 12 volts when the switch is on. One feeds back into the switch for the light of the switch, and the other one goes out to the actual light. So should be relatively easy to wire it in. And of course I just realized that I don't need to splice the outputs of the switches, the running board light and the Rocklight switches together. I mean, I want to operate the Rocklights and the running board lights independently. So really the first cable I cut, I just reconnected. That was a completely unnecessary cut. All right, now I need to reconnect the connectors to those both switches. Oops. And if I didn't mess up too much, I should have working running board lights again. Switch lights up, that's a good sign. And the Rocklight switch also lights up. That's an even better sign. So I think I'm done with the wiring here, and I can put my switch panel back in place. So here's where the cables enter the van. This slightly larger conduit is the one that goes to the rear lights. The smaller one is the one that goes to the front. There's really no reason why this one is bigger. I just didn't have enough of the small one. I also put one of those rubber grommets around the hole so that the sharp edges don't cut into the cables. And I also have to seal it, caulk it, so it will be watertight. And this is on the inside. Here are those 2 cables coming in, and then they kind of go all the way up here, and then they come out on the other side of this panel there under the sink. Last step here on the inside is to connect the cables that go to the front and rear lights, these 2 with 4 wires each, to the controller, to the output cables of the controller. Those are also 4 wires. And then I can mount the controller somewhere to the back wall, and then I'm done on the inside. It's a very tight space in there under the sink, so I'm not going to film that. I will just connect those wires and I can show you the result in a minute. And here's the final result on the inside with the controller mounted to the back wall. It's a Bluetooth connection between the controller and my cell phone, so I'm hoping in this position I get a good signal both inside and outside of the van. We'll see if I get a signal on the outside if the sliding door is closed, because, well, metal and how good it can shield these signals, but it doesn't really matter. I can just set a color and that will stay logged in. This is one of the advantages of this system, that it remembers the last setting. So whatever color I dial in, and if I switch it off and I switch it on back later, it will come back on with this setting, whether it is flashing or a single color or pulsating or whatever it is. It will remember that, and I typically have it all only set to one color anyway, and I don't really need to connect with my phone all the time. Well, let's see how it will turn out. Now the lights in the back I want to attach to this plastic trim piece here, this bumper corner piece. Oops. Maybe like so. And I made a template. How did that work? I think I need to align this with this one, and then, well, I can mark where they need to go, and then I can just use this on the other side to put them in the exact same space, but of course as a mirror image, so I have to turn it around. Cable. Was a bit fiddly to get the nuts on, but I got it done. So now I just need to tighten the screws. And again on the other side. And then it got dark quickly and I didn't film the rest of the installation. But of course I want to show you the result. And I also want to explain quickly why I did this installation in the first place. You know, sometimes when I park at night, I'm worried that somebody will walk into my van, or even worse, drive into my van, because they can't just see it. Like here, can you see it? Can you see it now? Also, if I ever need them as emergency flashers when I'm stranded on the side of the road, I can turn them on, and well, they make just the van a little more visible and hopefully stops other people from crashing into it. Overall, it was a fun project. It cost about $30 for the lights and around $20 for all the other bits and pieces, and installation took about a day, and that included some longer breaks, and it included all the filming time, which easily doubles the installation time for any project. Well, and that's all I had for today. Thank you for watching, and I hope to see you soon. Bye bye.